look, I know where you're at, and I know what you're thinking. You don't have to do that because this is what's going to happen, and this is what you're going to do. Instead of doing that, we're going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to do it with you.
Well, no, I'm not discounting that part. I'm just saying when you say it's easier because I got nothing to lose, I'm like, yeah, you do. You still got everything to lose.
No, you do, but that's a rational thought that we don't have, and we lack rationality.
Right, because there's too much emotion involved in the situation, and that's why for me,
it's poor
battling the addiction was battling my emotions. I thought he was going to pass out.
I'm losing my mind. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Talk Hard Podcast, where we like to talk hard about every single thing known to man. We like to pee you off. We like to coddle you. We like to pat you on the butt and tell you you're doing a great job out there while you're doing nothing and living off the government. We are that type of podcast. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I got to go because I just want to get canceled.
And we are very much working on getting canceled. If you want to watch the last episode, it's probably going to be the one.
Yep. Sign me up, Scotty.
Welcome to the show, guys. My name is Marty Norman.
I'm still Brian Gordon.
And that is Chris Cobb over there on the... I don't even know what you call it, Chris. What are you?
For all you that are wondering, I never change clothes.
He doesn't.
Ever.
He doesn't.
It's way less laundry to do. I'm efficient.
And the only time I put on clothes is for the show.
So I guess, will there be, maybe it's backwards thinking. So if I have to go home and wash my clothes and get them out in the morning, am I doing more laundry or less? Okay, let me rephrase. So every night when I come home, my wife has to do my laundry.
How dare you, man? How dare you?
Like,
how dare you?
That is the one thing that we share. I'll be fully honest. My wife does the cooking primarily because I just don't want to.
And you suck at it.
And I'm not. Well, I can
cook
a damn good steak.
Let me ask you this: in this world of no roles, no gender specific roles that the world wants us to be partake in, which I disagree.
Okay.
Do you cook the meat? Are you the meat man?
I don't.
I like to smoke me a good meat.
Maybe you didn't hear me.
I didn't.
I don't cook.
I like to cook steak.
I know how to cook.
If Jess cooks a steak, I promise you I'm going to throw it in the trash just off principle. It may be the most delicious steak on the planet, but if she cooks it off principle, I'm throwing it in the trash. And secondly, this is my chauvinistic ways. She is not allowed to cook chili.
I promise you, in almost 3 years, I have never once been allowed to cook the steak.
Or the chili.
If I were you, I would just be happy about that because I'm telling you right now.
Food tastes better when you don't make it, so I'm okay with it.
I worked my butt off to get where I am today so that I don't have to do certain things. Now, my wife likes to cook, so it's not like that's her job.
Oh, my God. How dare you say that's her job?
If she doesn't, I ask her, I constantly text her, what would you like me to go get for dinner?
She's like, bro, I'm going to cook something tonight.
And that's what she says. No, it's okay. I'll cook. And I'm like, okay, you can cook or we can get I'm not fast food. I'm talking like restaurant. Let's order it. I'll pick it up, bring it home, and we'll have restaurant quality food at home.
Every single night of the week.
That's what it takes. Yes. That's why I work as hard as I do. Yes.
And trust me, being a single man, if I was a single man, when I was a single man, I'm eating out probably two times a day.
If fast food and restaurants didn't exist when I was a single man, I would die. Like legitimately starve to death, or I would be living on cereal.
I think cereal
Ramen
for dinner
noodles.
is. I won't do that.
It's still way too much effort.
Yeah, cereal is.
That requires reading for the first 3 or 4 times. Like, when do I put the sauce in? Before or after? Like
sauce,
powdered sauce, whatever. It's the same thing as McDonald's eggs.
But cereal is an acceptable dinner for anybody, any standards for any
mothers
out there.
Life, yes.
If you're the mother if you are a mother and you enjoy cooking cereal if you enjoy cooking for your children and your husband, I hope I'm not making nobody mad here. If you want to have cereal for dinner a couple of nights a week, I think it's completely acceptable. That's all.
Well, here's the other problem: is I am very I'm like Mr. Efficiency on all levels in life, so I will eat the same thing over and over and over, and because I will find the fastest and best way to make that dish, so that I can. Because I eat for purpose, I don't eat for pleasure. I don't really care that much.
That's
I
what
don't
we do
like
until we get
dig
burnt
into
out.
a steak and I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. If I'm starving, everything's amazing. But other than that, it's just nutrients
I
that
did
will
notice-
feed me and make me feel better.
I did notice if I didn't eat out, I would get the crock pot out and throw some things in it. And that would be a meal for at least 2 or 3 days.
And then I have to throw the crock pot away because that requires a dish
I'm not
that I have
cleaning
to
it.
wash.
I'm
And now I
proud.
got to buy a crock pot too.
You just got to buy the insert. You know what I mean? You throw the insert away, you know?
No,
They're
like,
like $20 at
if
Walmart.
my wife said, will you cook tonight? 1,000%. Hands down, wouldn't bat an eye. But am I going to sign up for it and just be doing it? It better be a special occasion. That's just me. But she knows that. So it's not like, it was funny because I came
dare
home the
you.
other night and she was barefoot in the kitchen.
Oh, my God.
No, actually.
You're going to make... We are getting canceled. We're getting canceled.
She made the comment, okay? She was barefoot in the kitchen, and she goes, look, I'm just where I belong. I'm barefoot in the kitchen cooking dinner. And I was like, well, we
Guys,
finally got our
just-
life in order.
I just want to say this. The views that are expressed by Brian Gordon have nothing to do with me. Do not cancel me. Cancel Brian Gordon.
You can cancel me all you want. Me and my wife are so happy. It's
Look
ridiculous.
look what it did to Andrew Tate when they canceled him. Oh,
He's not, yeah, right.
he
Cancel me all day long.
Got more popular. He probably
We have
made more money.
cats to feed. Please don't cancel us.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, hold on. So
What are we
getting way off
talking
topic.
about
We're
today?
talking about what is going on in this country today in the reality of the new law and order or severe lack thereof. I saw something a few
New
months
world
ago.
order.
I sent this to you, and it
You got to quit that.
basically said she can't hear it, so it's
All
different. It basically showed 2 younger men traffic a severe level. Like, there's no personal use involved in the level of fentanyl in their trunk, and they were released with no bail within hours of being arrested
Oh, they snitched.
on the cartel. Doubt it.
That's where that's
Doubt
gonna
it.
that's where that's gonna come from. How much?
Doubt it.
How much was it
It was like 4 backpacks full
of fentanyl?
of fentanyl.
Like press pills or?
Like pressed pills, fentanyl. Like, I wouldn't want to ride in that car because if the AC turned up too much, we'd all be dead.
Well,
Like, windows up, airtight. I don't want to breathe at all. Give me an oxygen mask, and then maybe we can talk about it.
yeah.
But it's happening everywhere. We're seeing people do these things with drugs and get away with it like it's no big deal.
Well, first and foremost, guys, if you are struggling with drugs or alcohol addiction, please reach out to us right down there. Chris will put the number down there. Reach out to us. We will get you in treatment. We will help you out. We will show you a path other than the one you're on, which is there's only 3 things promised, jails, institutions, and death, with the path of addiction and drug use. And today it's ever more real than ever, because when I was using drugs, fentanyl wasn't really a thing.
Right.
I could go, I was a dumpster, right? I alcoholic for 25 years, but in between the alcohol, it was a lot of meth use. So meth, I started off with cocaine. Cocaine turned into crack. Crack turned into methamphetamines for about 13 years. And then
You were just cooking it differently because it's all the same thing.
not really. So crack and cocaine. Once I learned how to use baking soda in there, shit changed, right? Then all my buddies started cooking meth during the whole meth phase, and then spent about 13 years doing that. And then old heroin hit the streets pretty hard, right? So you got into that for like the last 5 or 6 years, but there wasn't a lot of fentanyl around, and when there was, it was like a fentanyl patch, and it was rare. But so the dope game has changed. So nowadays, every time you get high, it's like playing Russian roulette. It's like putting a gun up to your head, spinning the chamber, and taking a shot, because you don't know how much or how little fentanyl's in each shot. You're taking a Xanax. You're buying Xanax off the street. You're buying what you think is Oxycontin off the streets. And 9 times out of 10 these days, 9 times out of 10, there is no benzodiazepines in said Xanax. It's usually just fentanyl and Tylenol.
And for those current possible drug users or people that know people that are using the drugs that are in this world and have yet to overdose, let me give you a personal experience that I highly doubt anybody will ever rebut. There's no warning. You're just out, and it's too late.
Yeah.
Before you know what's happening, You're foaming at the mouth, passed out, and this is, I'm imagining what happened because this is the story I was told, but I don't really know because I don't remember a date. It's like out cold. Like a part of your life has now vanished and you will never get it back if you survive it. That is a big if. So when you do this, a lot of these people have this thing like, well, if I start to feel like I'm going to, I'll keep a Narcan pen. Bro, by the time you even realize that there's a Narcan pen next to you, you're out.
Yeah, there's
out.
And you know, in the world of drug addiction and drug addicts, there's not a lot of courageous people, and you hear stories all the time how, you know, people were getting high in this house and somebody overdosed and died, and everybody left said person instead of calling 911 or, you know, there's Narcan available on every corner damn near now. You know, if you're a drug addict and you don't have Narcan, you're reckless. And you know, and I get it, you know, like, look, the fear of dying when I was an addict wasn't even a thought. I didn't care if I died. I just know that I needed to get well. I know I needed to get better. I knew what I needed to do to feel, because I was in a constant state of sickness, whether it be from, you know, hungover from alcohol or dope sick in the morning. Like, I was in a constant state of sickness, and I knew only one way to get well. And the thought of like, oh, I may die, never crossed my mind. You know, and it doesn't a lot of people, which is why I'm so happy that Narcan's available everywhere, and most people have it available now. I have it in every vehicle, everywhere around, you know, just in case I run into somebody on the streets. But you know, the fentanyl game I don't understand it. I do know that when I was using, when I was using dope, it started to get to the point where the dope was getting really, really stepped on and really bad, you know, and I happened to get out around that same time. But I know now, I know why they're putting the fentanyl in the dope, to make it better, to make it good, right?
It's cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
It's way cheaper to give you that euphoria of
it's way cheaper.
Whatever they want to call it. Now, I admit the first time I did it, it was amazing. For a minute, and then I threw up because it was too much, and then it was the first time I like snorted an oxy. I was like, "Woo!" And then the taste settled in. And I was like, ugh, and then I was like, "Okay." Then all the blood rushes to your head, and you get really high, and then you're like, now you spend the next 15 years chasing down that high, and it never happens again. And then I feel just disappointed. Well, so you go to different dealers and try different things. I think the problem is they've lost that high, and when fentanyl came out, and someone told a story about it, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get that back."
Yeah.
I'm going to get that high. I'm going to get so high I don't know where I'm at. Here's my thing.
Well, you got different people. Well, here's the problem with it, right? You got some guy in a hotel or in a basement, you know, or in the trap house mixing fentanyl with
he's a
whatever.
Scientist, Marty, leave him alone.
Yeah, he's definitely FDA regulated, yes, and he's mixing it, you know, and you don't know what, and he's pressing pills, and you don't know how much, because it only takes.
My drug dealer went to Harvard and graduated with a degree in chemistry, so I was okay.
Mine went to Penn State. No, State Penn.
Yeah. They're backwards. It's okay, though. Yeah. Here's my thing. I understood the alcohol addiction more than I've probably understood anything else, because I know of and have told plenty of the stories where you're like, man, I got so drunk last night. And it's a fun story.
Right.
Most of the time, right? Sometimes you get arrested. Sometimes you get in stupid fights, but usually get drunk, you wake up, you get a hangover, it's a silly story, then it turns into something.
Call your buddy.
So I understood that one getting out of control a little bit more. I am yet to tell a story where, like, man, I did so much heroin last night. We were rocking.
It was so good.
We were all sleeping everywhere.
It was so great.
I don't even know who was awake. It was amazing. Like, I don't.
By the time.
And I did it. It was always hidden.
Well, that's the thing with us heroin addicts. It's like, it never starts off that way. Like, it's such a slow, it's not slow, but it's such a process. Like, you start with alcohol, like everybody, you have a good time, you have fun, you smoke some weed, you eat some acid, right? You do some cocaine, have a great time. Next thing you know, heroin's brought onto the scene, and you do a little bump, and you feel good. You feel like, this is great. And then the next morning you wake up and you do another bump, and then the next day, and the next thing you know, you're stuck in this habitual cycle of doing more and more and more to get that feeling you was just talking about. Mm-hmm. You're doing more and more and more, and next thing you know, you're nodding out, you're sleeping, you're you know, on the verge of overdose damn near every time, and then fentanyl hits the streets, right? And you're already in that chaotic mess, And the next thing you know, your heroin isn't working and you're searching for that fentanyl. You know, you're searching for that dealer. You heard somebody overdosed in your community, died from this batch, and that's the one you're looking for.
Which is weird to me, but yeah.
That's the one you're looking for. Like, I'll do just a little bit less than that guy did.
Yeah.
And I'll be fine.
Because I went to Harvard. And I know how much is in there because I can break down the chemical compounds.
But the thing about it is, man,
draw it for you.
Addiction. You know, when I looked at addiction, and I finally had people tell me that, you know, because I used for 20 some years, probably 25, probably, to be honest. In my last 10 years of active addiction, like, I was just miserable. I was miserable. I didn't know a way out. Didn't know anything. I had been using for this long, for 20 years. Like, I didn't know another life. Like, what is out? What is different? What is sobriety? What is recovery? I have no idea. Like, you know, I see only people I see are drug addicts, and then people that I see that have their life together, and that looked miserable to me too. Right. Had the wife, the kids, the dog named Shep, the white picket fence. The wife hated him. Kids couldn't talk to him.
My dog's named Steve. Yeah.
Your dog is named Steve?
Yes.
Who names their dog Steve?
I do.
Such a strange.
Anyway, so
why don't you just name him Chris or Bill?
Scuba Steve, man.
Babe, we're gonna get a cat and name it Chris.
Perfect.
Brian. We'll name it Brian.
Yes. A cat named Brian.
But it's such a roller coaster ride, and before you know it, you're doing things that you never thought you would do. You're in situations and environments that you never thought you would be in. You're in trap houses. You're going to the dope man in really sketchy areas, and you're around people that, you know, would assume shoot you in the face and take the last $10 in your pocket.
You love me.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Maybe you were a female and you're getting sold by your boyfriend, and this was the boyfriend that you had in high school, and you guys were happy on the football team, and just like you get yourself in
the sad part is you're like, I'm willing to go out there and sell myself because I got the easy money and we'll get high today.
Well, and at the end of it all, like the things that you thought were completely disgusting and unacceptable are now just part of life.
So here's my challenge in this video that just came to my mind. If anybody out there knows a successful, financially and otherwise, meaning families all together, whether it be a spouse or otherwise, holding down a normal job and does heroin on the regular.
Oh, yeah.
Please invite that bastard on this podcast because I really want to know.
Let's get him on the show.
I want to meet this him or her. Your dog can get away with it. I'm cool with that too. I just want to know. I want to meet this person because that's the one thing that I don't understand. And somebody said it in a meeting one time, and it struck a chord with me when they talk about insanity. The typical definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yet this woman put up true insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, even though you know the end result, you do it anyways.
That's addiction.
That's insanity.
That's addiction.
Yeah.
You know what it's going to do.
Like, you know this is going nowhere.
Yep.
There's not a successful story on the planet that anybody has ever brought to my table. There wasn't a dude that went raging into the building. You're all liars. I'm fine. I do heroin every day.
And you know, and that's what people.
That is not a challenge to actually become that person.
No.
I just want you to find
and that's why normies,
pre-existing person.
And that's why normies can't understand the obsession of the mind that an addict goes through. This craving, this physical addiction, this mental addiction, this needing just to be well. I mean, you hear about people all the time, and they give up their kids, they leave their kids, they go to jails, they go to homelessness, they go all these things, and people look at you like, why don't you just stop? You know, and it's not when it gets to that, when it finally gets to that point, like it has nothing to do with the physical addiction, right? You're trying to fill some damn void inside of you, this hopelessness, and that's generally what it comes down to. Is like, I have no other way of feeling good. I can't get my life out of this rut. I've lost everything, and there's no getting it back. It's complete hopelessness that you just don't give a shit anymore.
So is feeling nothing better than feeling good?
Feeling nothing is better than feeling pain. Feeling nothing is better than feeling hopeless, because the only time I ever had hope in my day was that first 30 seconds after I took that shot. I felt this sense of, and that's what I needed. And it's just like with the drink, you know, even in my alcoholism days where it was just mainly just alcohol, like, you know, you go all day to work, or you would go maybe you would make it a couple days sober, and you would just be irritable, restless, discontent, just going a million miles an hour, and you're trying to make things work and nothing's really working out. And then you finally get off work and you're like, hell with it, I'm going to go have one drink. And then you sit down at the bar and you have one drink, and it's that first big chug of Jack Daniels and Coke, and you're just like, it's going to be okay. And I think that's what we seek. And that's something that can only, you can't, like, recovery is not there's no quick way, there's no easy way, there's no shortcut to it. It's either I have to completely surrender and say, you know what, I need help. Can you help me? Because the bad news is when you become so addicted, or you have addiction inside you, the bad news is you cannot do this alone. You can't. And the good news is you don't have to. There's millions of us out here who are willing to stick our hand out and say, look, this is what I did, and this is what worked for me, and it could possibly work for you if you do it like I did.
I believe they all just got lost. That's just my personal opinion, though.
Yeah,
I believe it's just lost, because I believe that anybody in their normal state of mind at the point of their initial use, if they were told a story of like, hey man, or woman, whatever, I hear you're having a bad day, I'm going to give you something. And for like 45 seconds, maybe 45 minutes, everything's going to be amazing. The other side of that fence is it's possibly going to kill you. It's for sure going to ruin your life. Is what you're going through right now actually that bad? And
I think a large percentage of us would say, I want to feel good for 45 minutes.
Why? Like, well, what could be going on in your life that is so difficult that you would risk losing the rest of your life over 45 minutes?
That's trying to rationalize a spiritual malady. That's trying to rationalize.
Well, I understand they got lost. That's what I'm saying. Like, in a sober mind, if you were actually understood of where you were going, it would all make more sense. And what when we're talking about all this coddling and all these things, I believe that is the cause of the problems we're having today, is because we became all about, I need to get rid of all these bad emotions and all these crazy things. I got to get rid of them, because if my feelings aren't twisted into the narrative that works for everybody, then I might as well just get rid of them instead of just embracing them, allowing them to be what they are, and then move on.
I think if you could give that speech and then really go big with that speech to a group of kids that haven't got that first opportunity to smoke that first joint,
right,
I think it'd be very effective.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Sign me up. Where are you at?
You know what I mean? Because once, because like I said, I think it's a gradual process, and you know, it starts with alcohol. You know, alcohol does a lot to your inhibitions, right? It makes you do things you wouldn't normally do. I know people who went out and I would never use methamphetamines, ever. Get them drunk for a few days. Next thing you know, they're around a bunch of people using meth. They're going to use meth. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, they're going to wake up the next week and they're going to realize, I like that, And then it starts.
Now, again, I do understand it, because I was stuck there for too many years. I did heroin for over 10 years. I did a lot of things prior to that. Like, for those that think I don't get it, I get it. What I don't get now is that I have personally gotten rid of that obsession.
Overcame it, yes.
That obsession, not obsession in general. That obsession.
Well, and I
am still an addict. I am still going to work my face off, because that's my new addiction. I am still going to beat myself up at the gym when I go there, because that is my new addiction. I had to reframe the word addiction and turn it into a positive.
Yep.
And that, I believe, was the war of all wars that was going on was, okay, Brian, stop focusing on the drugs, stop focusing on other things, start focusing on why. Mm-hmm. Why do I need?
Why is my brain
to do this? Yeah. Why is this happening? And what can I do about it? And then why do I want to do something about it? I believe that everything in the whole entire world could be fixed with the why.
Well, here's the here's the other thing. So getting into recovery, you've had some time in recovery. What will stop a person from making that conscious decision to relapse or to use again is, first and foremost, step one is admitting you're an alcoholic. Beyond any reasonable doubt that you're an alcoholic or you're an addict, right? So you know that generally, for me, I knew because I tried all these different other methods. You know, the weekend, I'm only going to drink on the weekends. I'm only going to drink wine.
It works for people in jail too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm only going to snort. I'm not going to use the needle no more, right? I'm not, and none of that worked for me. I'm going to use MAT. None of that worked for me. Sorry.
Medically assisted treatment, by the way.
Yes, and now I'm going to use Suboxone, and I won't use, no, none of it worked for me because I'm an addict. Once I put any kind of drug in this mind to alter the state of being, then I'm going to be, that obsession of the mind is going to kick in, and then this craving is going to kick in, the phenomenon of craving, and I'm just going to seek more and more and more and more and more because that's me. But once you get some time in complete recovery, right? Abstinence recovery. Once you get some time in that and you start making gains in your life, stuff, because before, when I was in early recovery, I lived in a sober living. I had no driver's license, no health insurance, no car insurance, not $1 in my bank account. Like, using then was incredibly easy because what am I going to lose? Once you make some gains in your life, say you got a couple years in recovery and you make some gains and you start getting the driver's license, the car, the career, the family back, these things, and you start being a responsible person to other people besides yourself, then it's a lot harder to think, because if I do this, because you admitted step one, if I do this, I'm going to lose all that. It's just harder. It's a harder thing to do.
It's definitely harder, but I would still argue with you in reality when you're 15 days sober and you're like, what have I got to lose? 15 days of feeling good. 15 days of waking up not having to chase
That's
dope.
a rational
15
thought.
days.
That's a rational thought.
Yeah.
One of which the majority of us don't have at 15.
Get the over your emotions. Sorry,
we don't
Chris.
have that. We don't have that. We are like,
you choose not to have that.
we do, and because we don't have people like us sitting there beside us saying, "Look, brother, look." Beep. Look, you don't look. I know where you're at, and I know what you're thinking. You don't have to do that because this is what's going to happen, and this is what you're going to do. Instead of doing that, we're going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to do it with you.
Well, no, I'm not discounting that part. I'm just saying when you say it's easier because I got nothing to lose. I'm like, yeah, you do. You still got everything to lose.
Right, you do, but that's a rational thought that we don't have, and we lack rationality.
Right, because there's too much emotion involved in the situation, and that's why for me,
it's poor
battling
me.
the addiction was battling my emotions.
Come on.
I cry.
Come
so
on.
what?
Come on.
I do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I had to feel things again, and I hated feeling because I was raised in that you're not allowed to feel anything, and you got to be a man, and
Yeah.
No, I cry. When things hurt, I cry. Period. Yes. Someone breaks my heart,
baby.
I cry.
Cry, baby.
That's just the way it is. Sometimes I don't even know why. I'm an empathetic person. I have I'm an energy source, so I feel people a lot when they're upset. Like if I see a woman cry, it'll get me choked up every single time. Every time, because I'm like, I feel that. I know what that feels like, and man, that hurts.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
I had to get so comfortable with this is where I'm at. And this is what's going on. I came to work a week ago, and I had just found out at work I'd lost a friend. I started crying. Everybody at work is like, because I'm not that type at work, right? And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm dealing with something. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Let me push this through and accept these feelings because they're not bad. I'm crying because that's a good friend of mine that died.
Yeah.
That's sad. I'm allowed to cry about it.
But
as soon as I'm done.
But I'll be okay.
But I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the hardest things for us when we get into recovery is having this wave of all these different emotions that we haven't felt in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Oh, it was the hardest. Oh, man. I mean, that was when my emotions were out of control. I was crying over an Alpo commercial. I was saving all the dogs on that commercial. That adoption. Yeah. I adopted like 27 puppies that week, and I don't know where any of them are.
Does that sound good, Chris?
No.
Just 35 cents a day.
Just 35 cents a day. No, I mean, and that's the hard part, right? Is being able to sit in those emotions and not drink or drug because of it, you know? What's up, Jess?
No, it's just a good little quote that I came up with a while ago because I think everyone that suffers with addiction and alcoholism is a broken person. Anyone who can relate to that is broken inside, and it was something that I came up with the other month, and it was in order to heal, you need to feel, and the more that you feel, the more that you heal. And it is so true in the program. And once you are enlightened by that world, and it is true. I don't care whether people want to call you for it, but the more that you feel, the more that you heal. And you may not think that you need healing, but if you are someone that suffers with that kind of sickness, you need to heal. You've got a broken piece, you've got trauma, you've got something in there you need to heal from. And the more that you feel, the more that you heal. It is so important.
Can I rebut that? And I love what you're saying. I don't like the word broken, because when something's broken, it's not usable anymore.
Broken crowns are reusable.
I say you're battle tested. You have been battle worn. You are not broken because you are still standing. You're broken when you're dead. You are unusable at that moment in time. You are no longer broken.
Broken crown, still
you
color.
You are just battle tested, and that means that it hurts and it sucks, and you got scars, and your paint job looks like crap.
Tell that to the bumper that I fixed with lots of tape, Brian. It was broken. I made it fixed.
It's not broken.
Well,
broken is an unfixable item, in my opinion. That's just personal opinion.
Well, look, either you're broken and that's why you start using drugs, or you
may feel broken, and I get that. You feel broken for sure.
Okay, but
I want everybody to know you're not, because you're still standing.
I promise you're not. Sorry if I offended you.
That's not where I was going with that.
But listen, you either have some sort of, you're either broken prior to using, and you found drugs and they made you feel whole again, or you do enough really horrible things in your addiction that you become broken, and that's when the hopelessness sets in,
Okay.
Because there's a lot of
do drugs and alcohol for the most part because you feel, I think in the beginning for the most part, you feel too many things and you want something to take away. For me, and I know for you want something to take away what you were feeling because you didn't want to feel. And I think the flip side is like feeling more definitely helps you heal more.
But it doesn't work. You can't take away feelings.
No, and that's the thing.
You can pause them until 10 years later.
And that's what I did. You know what I mean? And then they hit
but you haven't gotten rid of anything.
So the answer to all of this is simple, guys. Like, there is no easy way out of it.
No.
And
you're not supposed to be.
You cannot, it's not so hard. Well, yeah, it's hard.
Life is hard.
Everything great.
Get over it.
Everything great in your life is going to be incredibly hard.
I don't
And
feel
it's
it.
going to require an extreme amount of action.
Here's my violin, because every single person on the whole entire planet has a hard life.
It's so hard. Everything's hard.
Everybody.
But here's the thing. It's hard, but you don't have to do it alone. You can call me. You can reach out right now. We'll get you into treatment, period. And, everybody's like, well, your answer is treatment. Yeah, it is. It's my answer. It's the foundation. Because, here's the simple fact is we got to get you away from people, places, and things for a little bit. We got to get you away from responsibilities in life and all this stuff coming at you. And we got to take some time to sit you still for a minute and have you focus on what's really going on with you. It's really hard to try to get clean and sober after so many years of doing drugs, try to get clean and sober, and still have to deal with everything that life has to throw at you. It's like, okay, let's take a pause for a minute. Let's take a pause. You have the ways to do it. You have the means to do it. Let's take a pause. Let's set you down. Be still. Feel those emotions. Feel those emotions in a controlled environment where you got professionals sitting there showing you and talking to you and walking you through those emotions and walking you on ways to respond and not respond to those emotions. That's where your growth is going to take in. And that will be the foundation for your recovery.
Respond and not react.
I like it.
I'm just being an asshole.
I like it, and I love you for it. But and that's what I had to learn is how to react and how not to react. Because a lot of times I didn't need to react, and I did. Like, that's not my sponsor tells me all the time, don't pick up that bag of it's not yours. And I'm going around picking up everybody's crap that isn't mine. You know what I mean? And he's like, bro, what are you doing?
Right.
And I have to just be involved in everything, don't I? And that's part of my character defects. And those are the main. I live in step 6 and 7. 6 and 7 is working on your shortcomings and your character defects, and that's where the majority of all people are different, right? People have trauma in their 4th and their 8th step is the hardest, and they got to get through that 4th. Some people have trouble with the higher power and God, and their 3rd step's most difficult. Some people even have trouble with step number 1, and that's just admitting beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond any doubt, that they're an alcoholic or an addict. That's hard. But for me, it's character defects and shortcomings, and that's the stuff that hits me in the face every single day. And that's the stuff I have to get held accountable for. I have to have people in my corner that say, "Hey, man, what was that?" And and it's not for once you get so many years in recovery. It's not about drinking or drugging. I have no desire, no obsession, no train of thought to ever use a drink again. I just don't. I haven't had one in a really long time. But what does affect me is some of those same behaviors, some of those same character defects popping up on a daily basis. And saying, Marty, you're an a-hole. That's I don't want to, once you get clean up, you don't want to be that no more. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be egotistical. You don't want to be, stepping on people's toes and insulting people and just being a cheater, somebody who steals. You don't want to be all these different things. You don't want to be that no more. And it takes actual pen to paper and working and being aware of them. Being aware of them is one of the most important things. If you're not aware that you're stepping on somebody's toes, and you're going to do that for every day until somebody says, "Hey, you know what, bro? No." And you're like, "Oh, whoa, I didn't even know I did that." And that's what it takes. It just, that's what I meant by there's no shortcuts. You've got to apply yourself in every aspect of your life. It's not about drinking or drugging. It's all the 1,000 other aspects of your life where you're screwing up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's that stuff we have to work on, And you got help out here. So
there's always plenty of help.
Yes, guys. So if you're struggling with drugs or alcohol, again, reach out. Somebody will help you. If they won't help you, I will. Just call me. My number's down there, and we'll get you the help that you deserve. You
Absolutely.
Yes.
But still, like and subscribe, share us with your friends. Go back in some of the other podcasts and listen to more of the crap that we like to talk about.
We probably on the last episode.
For sure.
Last episode, we probably will get canceled over. So
that's okay. Come for me. I'll come back.